my passions here are blending together. My passion for the pet industry and my passion for food and sustainability kind of like all rolled into one today. So I'm Shannon Anderson from Kashi. I manage our certified transitional program and work with a lot of our farmers on the brand side of our business. So I'm going to do something real quick. This group seems like perfect for it. If I can ask everyone to please stand up for me for just a moment. Stretch it out first thing in the morning. Yeah, thank you. So everyone here who's standing represents the growing interest in organics and organic food, organic ingredients, right? So we know that's been growing for decades. So now kind of from maybe Colette and Cody, we'll have everybody going this way. Go ahead and sit down. Thank you so much for your help. Appreciate it. They're like, who's Colette and Cody? So everybody who's still standing represents the 40% of the US that is farmland. So 40% of our country is actually farmland. And then, since I'm already picking on my Petco family, Colette, if you can please stay standing. I'm gonna have everybody else sit down. Yay, Colette. So my dear friend Colette here represents the less than 1% of farmland that is actually organic, as Caitlin mentioned here. So thank you so much, Colette, appreciate your help. So less than 1% of farmland in the US is certified organic. And it's a pretty shocking statistic. It's something that really shocked the Kashi team when we started digging into this. And yet, at the same time, it sort of started to answer some questions for us. We were, looking at our nutrition and the products we were making and trying to figure out how do we get these nutrient-dense ingredients that we really, really want to put in these products, how do we get them organic? We couldn't source them, couldn't find them, couldn't find enough of them. So this kind of became this weird stat that was hanging over our heads, and we were all kind of frustrated about it. And we were also thinking, do consumers know this? Like, what did we think consumers think about this? So I'm going to show you a quick video here that shows what the consumers think.
What is wrong with everybody?
No. That's really sad.
It's pretty horrific.
I was a little speechless on that.
So I think that was a good example, right? What is wrong with everybody? And feeling speechless about it. And it just was something that stuck with us at the Kashi team. It was hard to shake, and we figured we need to think about this. And it can't be about, should we move this forward? It has to be about, how are we going to move this forward? And we really had to kind of keep looking at each other and saying, this isn't going away. It's not going away, guys. So we're going to need to talk about this. So I'm going to take a step back real quick and talk to you a little bit about why Kashi. Why would we start thinking about this? Why would we start focusing on this issue? And hopefully some of you are familiar with Kashi. It's a brand that is the largest natural and organic cereal brand in the country. Hopefully somebody here has some Kashi in their pantry at home. We're best known for our cereals, our granola bars, our snacks. And while we weren't founded actually on an organic mission, that may surprise some folks, we weren't founded on an organic mission. We were one of the first brands to have a certified organic product on the shelf back in 2002, which actually sounds like not that long ago, but in the world of organics, it feels like it was a long time ago. So Phil and Gail founded Kashi in San Diego in 1984. And they founded Kashi on a mission based on nutrition. They looked around and saw an American diet that was starved of plant-based proteins and fiber, and they set out to try to change that. So this is where the idea of utilizing grains as protein and integrating that into the American diet really started. And they look like they're innovating some wine right there, but no, I'm sure there's grains on those plates for sure. So anyhow, it was with that innovator's mindset that they really kind of set Kashi off on the journey to think through how we might be able to solve different problems. And while it wasn't just in the American diet, we had to start thinking bigger. And I know everybody in this room are big thinkers. So it's with that that our purpose at Kashi, the relentless pursuit of positive impact through food, we continue to use that innovator's mindset that Phil and Gail set forth for us and think about the big issues. So as Caitlin mentioned, some pretty big topics hang over our heads in our industry, as they do in your industry as well. And it's something that we don't take lightly. So we really believe that if you're going to talk about health of people and the food that we put into our bodies, you can't have that conversation anymore without connecting it back to planet health. And again, I'm preaching to the choir here, I know. And in my mind, I think about people health, pet health, planet health, all the same thing. When I went to Kashi, folks in the room who are food and treat brands or fans will appreciate that when I went to Kashi and started working with some of our farmers and suppliers, I said, hey guys, it's not much different than the pet food. I hate to break it to you, but like we're all buying a lot of the same grains and stuff, and they thought that was pretty funny. I'm like, no, really, we make some really good food out in the pet industry. So we really had to take a look at this and think back to the less than 1% of U.S. farmland is organic, and what the heck are we going to do about it? And we got real mad, and we got mad at ourselves, and we sat in a room and continued to get frustrated and say, we've got to find a way to get to the how, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be something we can do by ourselves. So this is not a Kashi program. This is not a Kashi solution. It's not a challenge that is only for us. It's bigger than cereal. It's bigger than granola bars. It's bigger than my whole industry, which is part of why I'm here with you guys today. So the how do we move forward? I think we've probably all been in a situation where we're sitting in a conference room or on a conference call, and we have a big problem in front of us, and there's this feeling of, well, this is the way we've always fixed this problem. Here's the old way, right? Like, isn't that the way? And in this case, we kept looking at the growing demand of organic, like we talked about in the beginning, and the decades and decades of interest in organic. And we talked about the old way of doing things, which in my industry, and maybe in some industries here in this room, a lot of times there's an opportunity for large brands and large companies to just simply buy up little farms, little plots of land, and make their own supply of organic ingredients. Or there's an opportunity to lock in farmers to exclusive contracts and long-term exclusive contracts that only belong to that brand, right? And that was the old way of doing things. And it works in the short term. It works to get the product on the shelf, right? But in the big picture, it's not helping anybody, really. It's not growing that accessibility to organic. And if we are serious about growing access to organics, again, for people food, for pet food, for other industries, we've got to find a way to drive the solution from the beginning. So that's when we started looking at the new way of doing things. And we started from literally the ground, right? This is a visit that we made to one of our farmers. This is Karen. Karen has a farm outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And these are a few folks from our Kashi team here. And we were just talking to Karen about farming and the life of a farmer, as Karen mentioned. We've got some folks on our team from Europe who are tremendously shocked by the life of a U.S. farmer because it is very different in Europe. And so they kind of constantly try to remind us of that and help nudge us forward. So Karen talked about her passion is about bringing nutrition and about bringing like the best possible product to her community and to her family's table. And she talked about her peers in the farming world. And what she really reiterated to us was there is no lack of desire or passion from U.S. farmers to transition their farmland from conventional to organic. They want to so badly, especially as the younger generations are taking over these family farms, right? Imagine the younger generations coming in going, Dad, yeah, that's not the way things are done anymore, right? Like, let's try this. But what Karen also reiterated for us, she really echoed something that deep down we knew to be true, and that was the tremendous barriers that the farmers are facing. So she kind of started to walk us through some very sad statistics, as Caitlin sort of alluded to earlier, and also just wanted to make sure that we really, really knew the challenges that were facing farmers, that even though they have the passion and the desire to transition from conventional farming to organic, it's not always that easy. So here's a few things that I want to share with you guys, kind of ground us. 3 years. So it takes 3 years for a farmer to transition their farm from conventional to organic. And what happens in that 3 years is from day one of that 3-year process, they start operating as an organic farm. They follow the process, they follow the protocol from day one. And if all goes well for 3 whole years of operating like an organic farm, then they are eligible to apply for USDA organic certification. And there's lots of good reasons why it's a 3-year process, right? I mean, it makes sense, but it also is tremendously intimidating for a farmer. And then, of course, no surprise here, dollar signs, significant investment that those farmers are facing. So an already challenging industry, now they are expected to upfront invest capital in this process. Oftentimes, all new equipment. Massive amount. I mean, if you've ever seen farming equipment or looked at how much, a silo costs, massive capital investment that in many cases they have to just completely replace. So 3 years, lots of money. And then to top it off, there's no market for the crops in transition. So they've been working on this incredible product from day one of that 3-year process. They're creating some amazing organic products and ingredients, but there's really no way for them to sell those in a way that's financially viable because they're not organic, right? They're not certified organic. So think about like running your business in a totally different way for 3 whole years and there not being really a market for the product that you're actually delivering. I mean, if I'm a farmer, I'm looking at this and going, I don't know if it's worth it. Is it worth it? Oh man, is this worth it? So this is what we are up against, and this is what we really wanted to help find a solution for. Then Karen said something that really took our spark to a deep down in our gut. We got to help Karen and her people. She said, I would be more likely to support a farmer in transition to organic than one who is already certified organic. We kind of sat there and thought about it, kind of nodded our head along with her. Like, all right, so Karen, our farmer, she knows firsthand. These are her peers. She knows firsthand how hard it is. So in her mind, she thought, I just want to support these guys. I just want to help them get to the next level and get where they need to be. Get that farmland transitioned from conventional to organic and grow that 1%. So we thought, if we feel this way and Karen feels this way, maybe consumers feel this way too, and maybe other brands will feel this way. I'm looking at you guys. So maybe there's something to all of this, right? So we started talking about a seed to store solution. Could we find a solution? Could we find a way to provide some financial security for these farmers? We're not going to solve all the financial problems. We're not going to be able to buy everybody new equipment. But is there a way that we can provide a little bit of cushion there so that that process isn't so intimidating? Could we find a way to market the crops that are in transition as the amazing products that they are? And kind of as a brand person and a marketer, one of my favorite parts, could we get the consumers involved? You know how those consumers love to vote with their dollar. So how can we get the consumers involved here and bring them something that they can feel like they're really making an impact along with us? Because as I mentioned a couple times, we know this is not something that is going to be something Kashi can solve on our own. Cereal and granola bars and some cookies and crackers ain't going to cut it. So we asked some consumers, and we said, if there was a product that supported U.S. farmers who are attempting to transition their farmland from conventional to organic, would you be interested? Is this something that you would want to support? Here are some things we heard. Wow, I didn't know it was so difficult and expensive for farmers to switch over to organic growing methods. I'd be very pleased to buy more of those farm products. What's not to love about this? That's one of my favorites. And of course, I'm in support of anything that encourages farmers to use fewer pesticides on our food. So far, so good. Then our favorite one at the office, somebody just replied, awesome sauce. So indeed, awesome sauce is how we started to feel when we started getting tremendous positive feedback from consumers. And if my insights lead was here, she would tell you that it was the first time she had to do a character count on exclamation points. So there were so many exclamation points and so much positivity coming our way. It was a pleasant surprise. We knew that some people would be down for it, but it was a pleasant surprise to get such tremendous feedback. So what this taught us was there's absolutely a willingness in the marketplace for consumers to participate in this mission and to help move the journey forward, to help us work to increase organic farmland. Because 1% isn't enough, it's not going to cut it. If we're all going to try to make organics more accessible to brands, to businesses, to consumers, the 1% isn't going to work for us. So I'm going to show you a little quick video here. And this is from some of our certified transitional supply chain experts talking through the protocol and how it was developed. No problem. Oh, bummer. Okay. Well, that's okay. I'm going to try to talk through it then as best I can. So we work with a wonderful company called QAI. And QAI is our organic certifier. And when we went to them with this challenge, we said, this is something that we want to tackle, but we don't want it to be Kashi owned. There's no point in that. It's not going to work. QAI, would you be interested in partnering with us to develop a QAI-owned protocol and process to help farmers transition their farmland from conventional to organic? That way, it would be open to anyone, any brands, and everybody could participate in it. And it became this kind of bit of a wildfire conversation, kind of just went from person to person, and we got a nice team on it, and that's exactly what they did. They developed a tremendously detailed protocol and plan that is open to all crops. So in my case, we're using a lot of wheat, rice, corn, almonds, dates, pea protein. Some of these things I know you guys might use as well. But to Caitlin's point, cotton's also a great opportunity for the Certified Transitional Program. And trying to think what else they say on the video that I might be missing. There's a lot of other companies who are having the conversation. So what we tend to do is talk to as many companies as we can. We act now as a steward for this program. Again, not a Kashi program, it's a bigger problem. So we go out and we talk to as many brands as we can to try to help get them on board. A couple cool things that are going on in the next couple years with Certified Transitional, but we really feel like the pet industry can make a tremendous impact. So something to think about as I continue on here. So that's the certification. It's called Certified Transitional by QAI. And the first product that we launched at Kashi was this one right here called Dark Cocoa Karma. And it has the little logo there. There was a lot of conversation like, do we need another claim? Do we need to put another icon on these packs, right? And the fact is we really wanted to call it out in just a subtle way. We don't need to overwhelm the consumers with it. This is gonna take time. I was talking to a few folks in the room earlier, David maybe, about how consumers are still trying to figure out organics a lot of times, right? Non-GMO, still super confusing to a lot of consumers. It's hard to believe, but it's true. It's decades in the making, and it's gonna be a process to continue to educate, but we're in it for the long haul. So since Dark Cocoa Karma, we launched 7 other products. And while I don't typically disclose business numbers directly, I can say that Dark Cocoa Karma was our most successful innovation launch of 5 years at the time. So both customers, retailers really got behind it. In fact, it opened up doors for us in particularly natural channel that were not open before. And that's coming from Kashi, who's kind of an old school natural organic brand. This was something that they really saw as that next step in the journey. And we're super proud of that. So be on the lookout for these guys. This one really does taste like French toast in a box. It's very good. And let's see here. Then we started talking to our consumers about it once we launched the product, right? And also kind of a fun moment for us, especially in brand and communications, was the headline that we launched with, which was, "This cereal is not organic." But hang on, that's the point. So we put "This cereal is not organic" on in-store signage, on shippers. Oh, lost sound here. I can speak loudly though. Test. It's back. Okay, so we put it on shippers, on in-store displays, on shelf signage, on pack, on digital media. And the idea here was just to get people to pause for just a second, right? Just to be able to say, is that a typo? Why are these people telling me their product's not organic? That's weird. And it worked. We got a lot of conversation. We got a lot of feedback, a lot of social media feedback. And it was really cool to see people resonating with that idea of, oh, this is why you're telling me it's not organic. The other thing we did was put our farmers on our packaging. Might be some folks in the room here who lean into this idea as well. This is Newton from Wyoming. He really, for real, made the wheat, grew the wheat that went into this product. And Newton thought this whole thing was hilarious. He's like, you're sending a photo crew to my farm to take my picture? I mean, he thought we were nuts. It was great. And Newton got fan mail. No joke. Fan mail sent to our office, mostly from kids, going, "Newton's so cool sitting on his tractor." So there was one family that posted a couple times on Facebook about Newton, and we sent a box of cereal to Newton and said, "Newton, can you autograph this and send it back? Because we're going to send it to the family who keeps sending these Facebook posts." And then he really thought we were nuts. He's like, "Oh, these Kashi people out in Southern California, off the rockers." But anyhow, my point is, passionate about our farmers. This gentleman in the red shirt here, that's Richard. He's one of our almond farmers out of Central California. He comes to our office and visits us in San Diego once in a while, And there's always this buzz when Richard's coming. It's like, Richard's coming, Richard's coming. It's like there's a celebrity. Richard's gonna be here today, it's so cool. So we really have developed these awesome relationships with our certified transitional farmers. Richard has almost transitioned his whole farm. They do it in stages in most cases because it's just kind of better for them that way. So he's almost completely transitioned his farm, and now he's going to continue to stay on as a supplier for us as an organic farmer. So that's the other cool thing about this is you're sort of creating this organic pipeline for yourself, right? You're helping these farmers transition, and then you get to reap the benefits of these awesome organic products too. So it's not like you just end the relationship after 2 or 3 years. It like keeps going. We shifted the message a little bit to organics and training, and the consumers really seem to resonate with that as well. Kind of this idea of, okay, it's makes sense to me, training wheels, all right. And then this right here in the center is a fun moment for me, and I hope that you guys can relate to this. This is the CEO of Annie's. Everybody's probably from Annie's Bunnies, right? So they were pretty big competitor of ours and in the marketplace. And he tweeted out, "Great move, Kashi Foods. We all need to work to drive more acres to organic. Stuff like this is critical." And boy, were we shocked when we saw that tweet. And it was awesome, right? It's that moment of like, whatever, we're all in the same industry. We all know this is something that we need to do together. Rising tide lifts all ships, right? So love those moments where we can just like take those barriers down and just have a real moment of appreciation for the work that we're all doing. So here's what we've done so far. Since Dark Cocoa Caramel launched, we've been able to successfully convert over 9,000 acres from conventional to organic through our certified transitional farmers. Now, for those of you who maybe don't know how big an acre is, which I was one of those when I started working at Kashi, this is going to be just like over 12,000 football fields. So about 12,000 football fields worth of organic farmland that is now there that wasn't there before. And about $3.3 million paid directly to farmers through the program. I always pause on this moment because I want everybody in the room, particularly the business managers, to know this is not incremental funding. This is not incremental to your budget. This is all through the what you're buying for ingredients. So don't let the number freak you out too much. But this is the way the protocol works. Is more goes into the pocket of the farmer. So it wasn't necessarily an incremental like budget or line item for us. So it's okay. So this is cool. We're excited about this. Thank you. Thank you. It's a good step. It's a good step, but that's what it is. It's just a step. It's not enough.
How long should that take?
Yeah, so this has been about, we're in about year 3. Yep. And so it's a 3-year process for the farmers. So we don't count it until it's been converted. So we've got more that are currently in transition, but this has been what has actually successfully converted and successfully received that USDA certification. So as I mentioned earlier, that 3-year process, at the end of that successful 3-year process is when they're eligible for the USDA certification. It doesn't necessarily mean that they magically get that certification on the last day of year 3. So, so it's a good step. It's not enough. We're not happy with it yet. We're going to continue to push on the journey. But as I've said a couple times, we're well aware that we're not going to do it alone. And we need people like you, no pressure. And we need people like our competitors and other industries to come along for the journey. Because the opportunity to increase organic farmland is like right in front of us. We just have to get after it. And I think that there'd be surprising ways that you can actually integrate this into your business that are more palatable than you would imagine. So I'll give you an example. Something we're talking about is what would happen if we just shifted one ingredient of one of our products? Maybe it's our best-selling product. Just one ingredient. How much farmland could we impact just by making that one change of one ingredient? And it's we got some good results coming in. So I challenge you to think through that as I'm talking through this. So we're going to get wrapped up, and I want to share a quote with you that probably resonates. If you want to go quickly, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. So this is my official invitation to you. I would love for you to think about how you might be able to consider certified transitional in your business. I'd love to talk to you more about it. I'll be here all day today. I'm going to leave business cards. I'd love to brainstorm with you. Here's some of our additional contact information. So my contact information is there at the bottom corner. This is my partner over at QAI, Lauren Browning. She'd love to talk to you. They can help get you set up with ingredient suppliers, or just have conversations about what your existing suppliers might be able to do. Keep losing it. There we go. I'm back again. So yeah, if you want to go far, go together. And I hope that we can go together and increase organic farmland in the U.S. Thanks so much. So we can do some Q&A. I'll do my best to answer questions.
So first of all, I love your products, so thank you for being here.
Thanks.
My question for you is, have you looked at any other alternatives like vertical farming or hydroponics that wouldn't necessarily use farmland that could be a quicker path?
Yeah, absolutely. So all good, yes, all good solutions. They're definitely on our radar. I think certified transitional is the one that we feel like we can really make an impact on, from particularly in grains and almonds and dates. Those are ones that we really, and wheat and corn, those are ones that we're really trying to drive forward. But all good solutions. We don't have a plan against those in particular at the moment. This is kind of the area we're focused on.
Shannon, great stuff.
Hi,
Really
thanks.
appreciate it. I have lots of questions, so I might want to email, but
We can do
I'll
that.
share two right now. One, can you give us a sense of the delta between conventional, transitional, organic, and organic? Where does transitional fit?
Yeah, you're talking about how much you're spending?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a really good way to look at it. It really depends on the crop. It's going to depend on the ingredient. My dates and almonds are in a totally different realm than my wheat. But for example, if you're looking at a product that's usually $2 for organic and $1 for conventional, you're going to look between $125 and $150 for the transitional one.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. The others, was there any, I imagine in creating that seal, there was some discussion as to whether to include the word organic
Yeah.
in the seal, and obviously
Yes.
you decided not to.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that at all?
Uh-huh. Lots of conversations with USDA. We don't want to confuse consumers either. Like, we know that this is going to be something that we need to educate on, and it's going to take time. But we didn't want to mislead anybody either. We don't want them to think that it's USDA certified organic by any stretch of the imagination. It's hard enough to explain that, yeah, but the item you're buying has been acting as an organic farm. They're like, what? So you're absolutely right. It was definitely a lengthy conversation, several lengthy conversations.
So ads yes, product no for the word organic?
Yeah, so the word organic in context mattered. So our kind of agreement and where we landed was that in context, let's see, this is not organic was okay. And some other phrases that we could use were things like, this product supports sustainable farmland, or this product supports sustainable farmers. So yeah, there's a little bit of gray area, a little bit of pushback on that. We tried. Do you need a mic, or I can repeat?
I can just ask, what's the outreach process with farmers who are curious? I imagine there's a disconnect, and you've got to talk to these people. Hey, you're interested, we're interested in buying this stuff. What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think where we thought that was going to go and where it actually ended up going were two totally different things. So he's asking how do you get those farmers? How does that conversation go? Kind of the recruitment process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do those people say, I'm interested?
Yeah.
Actually find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the cool thing. Our farmers have the farmers that we started with, which we found through our ingredient suppliers, those first couple, Newton in Wyoming, they started to tell their friends, right? So their peers in the industry, they sort of started to spread the word on our behalf. And then we've got great ingredient suppliers. So one ingredient supplier, for example, is HFI, Healthy Foods International. So they're an ingredient supplier for a lot of things like wheat and brown rice and things like that. So so they sort of plant the seed, if you will, no pun intended, to different farmers that they work with, particularly the farmers who are voicing their concern with not having organic farmland, or the farmers that come to them and say, I'd like to, but there's no way for me to do that. And they go, aha, maybe there is. So yeah, thanks, good question.
Along those lines, following up on that question. So I love it when business leads good by listening to consumers that want to do good.
Sure.
You know, Ben and Jerry's yesterday, Kashi today, everybody in this room. But, you know, the government's over there with a lot more resource, a lot more access. And farm credit was created. USDA works with farm credit so that farmers can get credit so that they can perform with all the dynamics they have to deal with. So is Kashi talking to the feds and saying, hey, look, this is happening, you're getting 25% premium on whatever component material you're producing, and it's economic, you need to look that direction to help push. You're pulling.
Yeah.
Is someone gonna be out there from DC pushing this idea of working with you? Where's Kashi on?
I bet you can guess my answer, but I love where you're. I love what you're thinking, and I'm right there with you. We are definitely part of. Our team has gone out to DC to partner with folks like QAI on some lobbying conversations. It's not going tremendously well at the moment. So we're continuing to come at it from our side, because we do, at the moment, it does feel like something that our industries are going to have to help with, right? We're going to have to step in and help with this, but we are continuing the conversation, and as soon as there's any movement, I will send you an email. Yes, come with us next time. How are we doing on time, Caitlin? We're okay?
Keep going. Go.
Hi, I just wanted to know, how are you working to educate retailers? You talked a little bit about the end consumer with social media and store signs, but what kind of programs do you have for retailers?
Thank you, great question. I really love this topic. So when we launched Dark Cocoa Karma, I was actually working really, really closely with our account teams who call on the retailers. And we invited our retailers out to our office to talk about this program. We put them through, half day, full day sessions of just like educating them on what it is. So, that's a big thing. You can't just, invite all your major retailers out to your office at any given time. But we really rely on our sales teams. We create updates for the materials. We share a lot of our farmers' stories. So we have kind of a booklet of farmer profiles. It kind of reminds me of baseball cards, to be honest. It's like you've got Newton from Wyoming, and here's his wheat that's in this product. And so we are constantly creating materials for our sales team to continue to just update the retailers. The natural channel, the Whole Foods, the Sprouts of the worlds, the smaller mom and pop natural chains, they really, really got behind it. To the point where they were like, no, we don't want to wait can we get it out sooner? And we're like, no, remember, because I just told you it takes 3 years to transition. So we actually need to get the product going. We can't just speed it to market like all of our other stuff, right? So we're constantly thinking about those customers and making sure that we keep them up to speed. And they also love when we're able to share with them farmers that are within their local region. Sometimes we'll put little tags up in store that say, this farmer, especially like Central California with Richard, our almond farmer. We have a lot of signage up in that area saying, really, these almonds are from Richard. Like, you can see his farm from here. So, yeah. Thank you. Great question.
For your product labeling, what's the threshold to put that label on a product? Is it every ingredient in that product is certified transitional, or what proportion?
Thank you. That's a really good question. So the question was what percentage of the product has to be transitional or transitional ingredient in order to have the icon on it. There are different thresholds within the QAI protocol. So this icon, the certified transitional, the product has to be 80%. So the simpler the product, the better for that. But then there are other statements that you can make on pack regarding made with. So made with certified transitional ingredient, or if you preferred to just use the sustainable messaging, supporting sustainable farmland or supporting sustainable farmers. You can still talk about the farmers on pack if you choose to with the made with. So like I mentioned, even if it's just one ingredient of a product, there's still ways to talk about it, and it actually there are cases where when we're just using one ingredient of a really strong product, we're actually driving more increase in acreage than launching a whole product of something new. So it's been an interesting process, but there's definitely options, and QAI, I can make the full protocol available too. I mean, it's like an 80-page document, but you're welcome to take a look. There's different thresholds depending on how much you're using.
Hey, Shannon.
Hey, Cody.
Great presentation.
Thank you, bud.
I know Kashi's owned by Kellogg. Have you successfully talked to the parent company at all to help replicate some of their other products?
We have. And so, backing up, imagine that conversation. We were like, hey, guys, we want to do this thing where we support the farmers. What? They're like, what are you guys talking about? So, so to start, it was a super fun and passionate project, just trying to get them on board with supporting us. And then particularly when they saw the success of the first innovation, the dark cocoa karma, then it sort of became the other way around. Then our phone started ringing and they were like, so hey, we like what you got going on. And we're like, yeah, we knew you would. So yes, the answer, the happy answer is yes. We are starting to get them on board with this. They are now working with our farmers. So Kellogg is now working with some of our grain farmers towards moving the acreage further, which is going to be super helpful. Thanks. Good question, Cody.
So for the dark cocoa crunch, were you able to do any research in terms of the consumer? How many bought it because it was a great new flavor, and how many bought it because it was transitional?
Yeah, I don't have the breakdown of that exactly. Did it just taste good and they liked it, or was it because of that? What I can say is that we got tremendous feedback that we didn't normally get even on like our organic products or other products, of people being like, wow, I really like what you've got going on here. I really like what you're moving towards. I would buy this again, because we got a lot of that sort of like two-way conversation. I will say something to keep in mind. I think we got a lot of conversation about the farmers. Like, so if you look at those products on shelf, there's different farmers on most of the packs. And people really loved seeing that farmer and reading it and going, oh, for real, this is the product that's in the box. It's not just a picture of a farmer. So yeah, I wish I had better stats for you on that, but I can say it was positively received, so that was good news. Cool. Well, guys, oh yeah, what's up?
This was a similar question to the last one, but you did some market research on transitional before the product,
yes.
And you got really cool anecdotal results. Was there any data at that time as well?
As far as intent
General attitudes toward transition.
General attitudes, we got the positive feedback. We did intent to purchase studies, so that showed strong feedback as well. Always, recommend those intent to purchase studies, right?
Are you at liberty to share any of that data, even a bullet point or two?
You know, I don't have it off the top of my head, to be honest. I don't have those exact stats that would have been. I can probably pull some for you, though, if it would be helpful. I know some of us have to do some internal selling of ideas like this in our company. So those kind of statistics would be helpful. So I'd be happy to connect with you. I'll make sure to give you my card, and we can see what we can pull. Yeah.
Go ahead. Thanks, Shannon. Oh,
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. So I have a question. Are there any pet industry companies partnering in this program at this point, do you know of?
Not at this time, as far as I know. Anyways, not at this time, as far as I know. So I will say that they don't always, they don't come through us, right? It's not a Kashi-owned program. So they go through our part. We're happy to brainstorm, happy to share what we can and connect you guys to the right people, but they don't have to come through us. So, we talked to Patagonia, and we talked to a lot of companies about this and how we can continue to move it forward. Most of them go through QAI. So QAI is very respectful. As much as I push them to say, who are you talking to? Guys, tell me who you're talking to. They're always like, exclusivity. We don't want to talk about it until the brand is ready to talk about it. So we do know that there's actually a private label, a retailer private label product that's going to be going to market here shortly that we're super excited about. A brand called Living Intentions, which I never remember their name, but I always recognize their packaging. They do a lot of almonds and snack mixes. They just launched a certified transitional almond product. But directly to answer your question, nobody in the pet space that I know of today, but I bet that's going to change after today.
I have one more question.
Yes, please.
So we hear this a lot in the certified humane space as well, that lots of farmers just don't have, and I don't know if it's a 3-year transition for certified humane, but I'm just wondering if you've heard anything about QAI working with farmers on the certified humane side as well as certified organic.
So you're talking about animal products, right? Okay, so I'm not as familiar with that. I do know that process is tremendously different. My understanding is I think there's some bison folks in the room that might be able to answer this better than I will. I believe you have to be born into that certain certifications when it comes to organic versus transitional. So I'd be happy to connect you with Lauren from QAI if you want to talk more about that. Unfortunately, it's not my area of expertise. Yeah. Good question.
I can connect you with the head of Certified Humane.
Awesome.
I know them. I was just wondering if there was a connection with QAI. If there was something like this happening with them too. Just curious.
Yeah. Good questions. Thank you. All right, I think that's it for me then. Guys, thanks for having me. Really nice to talk to you. Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.